Removing fluoride from drinking water, the debate between DeForest residents over the mineral.
And investigating a fatal plane crash in the nation's capital, what we know so far and how the president is reacting to the tragedy.
Plus, a Madison fire program is expanding. We'll tell you how Sun Prairie first responders will be better prepared to help people in crisis. It's all ahead on News 3 now at 10. Good evening, I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We begin with the village of DeForest holding a second listening session over whether or not they will continue adding fluoride to drinking water.
Its use in drinking water is backed by both the CDC and also the State Department of Health Services. The mineral has been shown to reduce tooth decay, but some board members are citing an opinion piece by the Washington Post, as well as a ruling by a California judge against the EPA to argue that keeping fluoride in the water is not safe.
We should have the choice to drink pure, clean water and then to supplement if necessary.
This isn't a hard decision. The fluoridation of water is one of the top 10 public health breakthroughs of the 20th century.
Board members add that the village can save money by not having to buy fluoride or replace aging equipment needed to add the mineral to the water supply. Last month, the village's Public Services Committee voted in favor of removal. Record-breaking warmth moved into the region today.
But a wintry mix is expected tonight. I'm asking that like, really? Is it possible? Alex is on the weather patio now.
Yeah, we are watching a couple of showers, and with just cold enough temperatures, there could be a couple of flakes of snow for parts of southern Wisconsin. And you wouldn't think that at all, like you were just saying there, Sarah and Eric, after a record warm day today. The normal high temperature for today, end of January, is 27 degrees. We got up to 57, and that's a normal high temperature that we would see in April. Upper 50s to a 61 in Boscobel for shattering of record high temperatures. And we are cooling on down, especially from Madison and points towards the north where we have clear skies. You can still see stars above here on the patio right now. A little warmer to the south, Janesville, Monroe, over towards Platteville. And in Dane County, you see the difference here in temperatures, 35 to the north and near 40 in the southern part of Dane County. No shower activity here in Dane County, but you widen out just a little bit from Platteville over towards Darlington, Monroe, Janesville, south of 43 near Elkhorn, a couple of showers. Will these showers make it as far north as Madison? Are we looking at some wet snowflakes with this? We'll use Future Track to discuss in a couple of moments.
All right, thank you, Alex. And now to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Conservative Justice Brian Hagedorn says he is recusing himself from the landmarked Act 10 case that the court is set to hear later this year. That case will decide the future of the 2011 law, which eliminated many collective bargaining rights from public sector unions in Wisconsin. The law was a major achievement of former Republican Governor Scott Walker. During that time, Hagedorn was Walker's chief legal counsel. He also helped defend the law in court. This recusal gives liberals a 4-2 majority on the case. And now Republican lawmakers are also calling on another liberal justice, Janet Brasatowicz, to recuse herself on the case.
Well, one of the students hurt in the Abundant Life Christian School shooting has now been released from the hospital. A UW spokesperson says that student is now recovering at home. Another student is still at the hospital, said to be in good condition. 2 people died during that shooting. Another 6 were injured. The shooter, a 15-year-old girl, took her own life during the shooting. On New Year's Eve, a Madison man named Richard Johnson died in police custody. According to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, on December 30th, Madison police arrested Johnson after responding to a car theft at a hotel on Madison's east side. EMS evaluated him at the scene, and then police sent Johnson to jail. However, the Department of Justice said once he arrived at the jail, he was unresponsive. Johnson's family is searching for answers.
They should be held accountable for what they did. I don't care what a person do, they don't deserve to lose their life.
And right now, we don't know why the medics were called to the scene or what prompted them to clear Johnson to go to jail. News 3 did reach out to the DOJ and medical examiner's office for more information, but we have yet to hear back. And the search continues for dozens of victims of the country's deadliest plane crash since 2009.
And crews have recovered at least 40 bodies from the collision. Erica Brown now with the latest from Arlington, Virginia.
Recovery crews spent all day Thursday combing the Potomac River, searching for the remains of those lost in the horrific collision just short of the runway at Reagan National Airport.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
Officials say there were 64 people on board the American Airlines regional jet from Wichita, Kansas, and 3 on the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter when they slammed into each other as the jet was preparing to land just before 9 Wednesday night.
Crash. This is Alert 3. Crash.
The plane now sits upside down, broken into at least 3 pieces in waist-high water in the Potomac. CBS News has learned that just one air traffic control worker was managing the helicopters and planes, a job normally done by 2 people. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation.
We look at the human, the machine, and the environment. That is standard in any part of our investigation.
The NTSB says both black boxes from the plane have been recovered. They're being analyzed at an NTSB lab near the crash scene. At the time of the crash, both aircraft were flying at about 400 feet. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 feet.
We're still in a recovery mode, first and foremost, to get the perishable evidence and specifically the bodies out. Once we get a little bit closer into that, we'll be able to better understand the dynamics of what may have happened upon impact.
Among those aboard American Airlines Flight 5342, a group of figure skaters, their parents, and coaches returning from a skate camp in Wichita. Recovery crews suspended their search at dusk. They'll be back in the water at dawn. Erica Brown, CBS News, Arlington, Virginia.
Well, President Trump spoke at the White House press briefing room in the aftermath of the deadly crash. He criticized the Biden administration and attacked diversity initiatives, claiming that he had increased standards for those who work in aviation.
So we find that people aren't mentally competent. You see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be doing this particular job.
The president also pledging support to the families affected by the crash, saying, quote, "We're all searching for answers."
The American Civil Liberties Union of Wisconsin is celebrating the Dane County Sheriff's Office's decision to withdraw from the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program, or SCAP. Last night, Sheriff Calvin Barrett announced his intentions to leave the program. SCAP partially reimburses state and municipal governments for the costs of incarcerating certain undocumented people with certain criminal convictions. Sheriff Barrett says by cutting ties with the program, they hope to make Dane County's immigrant community feels safe.
UW-Madison pausing some spending after the president's rescinded memo put a pause on federal spending grants. A message from the university says questions and concerns related to the executive order remain, and the university adds it won't commit to new obligations or job offers on existing federal awards and will limit discretionary non-personnel commitments on federal funds. It'll also coordinate with federal agencies related to stop work orders and delays on payments. A new study by UW's School of Medicine and Public Health could help doctors in the fight against the opioid crisis across the country. In between 2014 and 2018, opioid overdose deaths within the state rose by 46%, according to a report by the Wisconsin DHS. While most deaths come from drugs obtained illegally, initial exposure could occur through a prescription for pain medication. Researchers with UW found that pairing CDC guidelines with de-implementing certain primary care strategies led to a 6% decrease in daily opioid doses, reducing the amounts of opioids prescribed.
The evidence, I think, is showing that it might be time to turn the page to these more, kind of process-oriented and paternalistic approaches to more patient-centered approaches that really pay attention to the whole person and how pain is interfering with life and how we can improve quality of life and so forth.
While the study's findings are promising, researchers are acknowledging that helping people effectively manage chronic pain is a problem that needs more work.
And the FDA has approved the first new type of pain medication in more than 2 decades, and it's not an opioid. The drug is used to treat moderate to severe acute pain, which is usually caused by injury, trauma, or surgery. It prevents pain signaling nerves from firing, and that is different from how opioids work because they just dull the sensation of pain in the brain. The last time the agency approved a new painkiller was back in 1998.
The Madison Fire Department's CARES program will soon expand into Sun Prairie. The program will officially begin on Monday. CARES is a program that integrates medical health care at the onset of crisis intervention to address behavioral health emergencies. Sun Prairie Fire says during the first 4 months of 2024, They responded to a total of 42 incidents where people could have benefited from the CARES program.
Dispatch has the ability, now that CARES is going to extend service, they can reach out to CARES and kind of connect them with that individual if that's what the situation warrants. And so if it's a non-emergency or non-threatening kind of behavioral health situation, CARES can service that individual.
The city of Sun Prairie says under the current agreement, Sun Prairie will cover the cost of each CARES response. Sun Prairie is eligible to seek reimbursement from Dane County for up to 70% of what they pay to Madison. The reimbursement is available for the first 12 months of the program.
The Madison School District is in the process of updating mascot logos for its 4 largest public high schools. But some community members are asking why. The district is working with BSN Sports and Varsity brands to redesign the logos. District leaders say they're updating these logos after the 4 high schools were renovated as part of the 2020 referendum. You can vote on 3 redesign options for each school online, but the original logos are not included. This is frustrating some residents.
And nothing's going to replace existing pieces.
For a lot of people, I've been hearing from so many people about this that are really kind of outraged.
The online feedback surveys for the mascot options will be open until Monday.
Applications are now open for the City of Madison's 2025 Arts Grants. There are 3 types of grants that artists can apply for. The first are project grants, which provide up to $5,000 for education programs, exhibits, and performances. Legacy grants are up to $1,500 and support organizations that have received Madison Arts Commission funding for 3 out of the last 6 years. And individual fellowships. Artists can get up to $2,000 to advance their practice, and applications are due by March 1st. When we come back on News 3 Now at 10, Alex tells us about another wave of record-breaking warmth coming over the weekend.
Plus, President Trump is reversing the Biden administration's climate actions, how the move could impact people living right here in Dane County. Up next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
In just days into his second term, Donald Trump's administration has already reversed many climate efforts from the Biden administration.
And what does that mean for consumers and companies here in Dane County? The Trump administration has unleashed a flurry of actions to undo Biden's clean energy goals. For example, no longer declaring a national emergency and also withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accords. But Dane County's Director of Energy and Climate Change says there's no need to panic just yet. All previously signed climate grant agreements are still in force, and the county is still planning on supporting projects.
All of the tax credits, all of the signed grant agreements are all still in force. There may be a moment where Congress makes some changes to the tax credits, but they're not going to make them retroactively. They're not going to say, you can't anymore claim this thing you did in 2024. That's not how the tax code works.
Well, if you're interested in adding clean energy products to your home, just go to DaneClimateAction.org. And under the Act Now tab, you can enter your household size and income to see what state and federal programs you are eligible for.
It's been nearly a week since the Trump administration ordered a 90-day freeze on almost all foreign aid, on top of creating confusion about which activities are impacted. Sources say this suspension means some aid contractors are not being paid for work they've already done. Contractors working with U.S. aid often front money for aid work and then get reimbursed later. There's also concern that other nations like China may step in to fill the void during this 90-day freeze.
Well, this is a fun one. A food bank in upstate New York recently received a highly unusual donation that came with one big catch. The donation was this: 40,000 pounds of live salmon in the tanks of a nearby salmon farm that was going out of business. So this daunting challenge really was to have to scoop about 13,000 fish out of the tanks and then get them to a food processor to be filleted and frozen before the business closed.
It's a lot of fish to do something with, right? We didn't want it to go to waste, go into a dumpster or something like that, when it's great to eat, right?
The fact that we only had weeks to execute this really ratcheted up the intensity and the anxiety a little bit. I knew that we had the will. I knew we had the expertise.
How about it? Thanks to an army of 42 volunteers, the mission was accomplished. The high-protein fish will soon be distributed among 243 pantries, as well as soup kitchens, shelters, and other institutions in that food bank's network. Very cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, with record-breaking warmth today, plenty of people were out and about enjoying this 50-degree weather while they can.
And so we got out and spoke to several city residents just to see how they're feeling about this warm January day.
Yeah, we're enjoying it, taking a walk, getting smoothies. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's hard to stay inside and work.
It's typical Wisconsin weather. It's freezing last week. It's nice this week. Amazing to be outside.
I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that I saw so many people out on the ice in this warm weather because I just moved up here from Austin, Texas. So that's something a little different.
That's certainly true. There's the potential for more record-breaking warmth this weekend. We have Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington with all the details.
All the details. Put this up here, too, here. Contrast the warm conversations that folks are having. Jan messaged me yesterday and sent me this postcard saying, I got something for you, Alex, to show on TV, knowing that it was going to be warm today. This is January 30th, 1951 in Madison, minus 37 degrees. I doubt we'd be getting any folks on air talking about even being outside in those sorts of temperatures. That's about as extreme as it gets. And you contrast that to the high temperature of 57 degrees today, having another conversation with the viewer about these extremes. That's nearly a 100-degree extremity between the coldest you can get on January 30th and the warmest you can get on January 30th. And we did 60s in parts of southwestern Wisconsin as well, 61 for high in Boscobel. Tonight's forecast, though, staying mild, maybe a shower or two up to Madison, Monroe, and Janesville. These temperatures are anywhere between 5 and 10 degrees above normal for the high temperature for tonight. And as we go on into Friday, we're still staying mild from Madison and points off towards the south and towards the west. Those few showers that we're going to track here in a moment, they'll be skipping off towards the south and towards the east. And then we have another weather system we need to talk about before that additional record warmth that Sarah was mentioning. Those showers here, they're dotting areas from Grant County all the way over to portions of Janesville, over towards Elkhorn, right along the Wisconsin-Illinois border. There's nothing north of there. How far north will these showers get? Weather models get the showers maybe over to Mineral Point, Madison, over towards just south of Watertown, Janesville, and areas off towards the east, and then they move towards the south as we head towards that 5-6 o'clock time frame. Can't rule out a couple of isolated big wet snowflakes as those temperatures get down into the mid to upper 30s. Then we clear out as we go into Friday afternoon and staying breezy. The other weather system, number 2 here, comes in Saturday afternoon with a few snow showers. Richland Center, Camp Douglas. Most of these snow showers staying north of a line from Lone Rock to Madison and points up towards the north, where they might pick up a ½ inch to an inch of snow as we go into Sunday morning. That's getting out of here by the time we get to 8 o'clock in the morning. Noticing some breaks in the clouds too. That will be important because Jimmy and Sun Prairie will be needing to do the groundhog reading by about 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. Following that weather system, the temperatures record warmth again, up to near 48 on Sunday as we head out into next week. A wintry weather system I'm keeping an eye on for Wednesday could bring a mix of rain, snow, and maybe some freezing rain to southern Wisconsin. Speaking of snow, look at the entire state. We are in a snow drought. Much of the state missing anywhere between 5 to 10 inches of snow. In many cases, we're down about a foot from normal. So we need to get some additional snow here in the forecast, or some form of precipitation, or we are going to be in a hard position as we head towards the spring planting season.
And coming up in sports, a crosstown rival renewed on the hardwood. How Lake Mills stayed perfect in conference play. Find out next on News 3 Now. Rarely this season has Wisconsin women's hockey not swept their opponent. It's happened just 3 times this year, including last weekend when they won Game 1 against St. Cloud State and then closed out their series with a tie. Now, they did win the shootout for the extra point, but for the Badgers, it still kind of feels like a loss. And this group has plans on bouncing back in a big way in Duluth.
We've gone through some bumps, but I think it's about how we react to it, and we've come together because we've seen that once we come together, we're a pretty good team. So there's no reason not to come together. And so on and off the ice, I think it's really helped us. And as we continue to come across, any adversity, we'll be able to handle it and most likely come out on top.
Through 20 games last season, Wisconsin was 16-4, and then they hit that late season slide, closing out the regular season, losing 8 of 11. Now, through 20 games this season, the Badgers were 16-4, and then started the back half of the regular season with a road loss at Maryland. Will history repeat itself? Probably not. And Greg Gard is not interested in any of it.
Play the next game. I don't worry about other years, Mike. You've been around me long enough to. On to the next game. We got to get ready for Northwestern, and they're going to be a handful. So it's making sure we keep getting better.
High school boys hoops, Lake Mills hosting crosstown rival Lakeside Lutheran in a huge game in the Capital Conference. And the L-Cats were playing some tough D tonight. Brady Benish comes up with a steal and then pulls up from deep to put the home team up 3. Warriors trying to cut into that lead. Logan Strom working hard down low. He spins and wins for 2. But Lake Mills has a guy by the name of A.J. Bender, and the dude is a bucket. Bender puts his defender in the blender for 3 the old-fashioned way as Lake Mills takes it 60-48. And the Bucks are off tonight, but Damian Lillard received some good news. For the 9th time in his career, Dame Time has been named an NBA All-Star. The Bucks guard will join teammate Giannis on the big stage in a couple of weeks and look to go back-to-back as the MVP of the All-Star game. Lillard is averaging 25 points and 7 assists this season for the Deer. We're back after this.
New tonight. You might start to suspect that maybe you're crazy. Nope, it's still him.
Nicole Kidman takes the Colbert Questionnaire. All new CBS tonight.
All right, our producer at it again with some unique fossils. A stomach-turning and mind-blowing fossil found in Denmark. According to the country's Geo-Museum facts, an amateur paleontologist found 66-million-year-old fossilized vomit, folks. And while walking along a cliff-lined coastal region, he tries to make it sound pretty. Well, a cliff-lined coastal region.
But that's pretty
fossilized vomit.
That's still beautiful. That's not anymore. Anyway, the find was later examined by experts who said it's believed to contain at least 2 species of lily plants. So that's nice. Experts say disgusting discoveries like these are good. They provide important and new knowledge about the relationship between predators and prey and ancient food chains. But lilies, I guess, could
lilies,
be.
nice lilies in the vomit. So, Alex, you follow that up. Some fossilized vomits with a warm forecast.
Good luck.
I think people can stomach this forecast. How about that? How about that? Okay. And Ames and Mayor saying, you did good, Alex there. All right, some showers down towards Janesville and the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Those showers should generally stay south of Madison, and what we're up against on Groundhog's Day.
There you go, there's your guy.
All right, I think we're gonna have cloudy skies, unfortunately, on Sunday, but at least it'll be mild on Sunday.
Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a good night.